The whispers began in the marble halls of the Senate, quiet, dangerous, and filled with fear. Rome, once a republic ruled by many, now trembled beneath the shadow of one man, Gaius Julius Caesar. The conqueror of Gaul, the master of legions, the man who had crossed the Rubicon and declared war on corruption itself. But power in Rome was never unchallenged. And on a cold morning of March 15, 44 BC, the Ides of March, the daggers of his so-called friends would find his flesh. The plot was born in paranoia and pride. Cassius Longinus, sharp-eyed and sharper-tongued, could not stomach Caesar's dominance. Marcus Junius Brutus, the man Caesar loved like a son, convinced himself he killed for Rome, not envy. Together they gathered a band of senators, men of prestige and deceit, Casca, Cinna, Trebonius, Decimus, and more. They swore that one murder could save the republic. They told themselves it was for liberty, but deep in their hearts every man knew it was for power. That fateful day Caesar ignored every omen. His wife Calpurnia had begged him not to go. The priests had warned of bad signs. The sky itself trembled with thunder, though no storm followed. But Caesar, draped in white, laughed off the warnings. "Cowards die many times before their deaths," he said. "The valiant never taste of death but once." When he entered the Senate, the killers surrounded him like old friends. Casca struck first, slicing at Caesar's neck. The blade missed its mark, and Caesar turned in shock. "Casca, villain, what are you doing?" he cried before more blades joined in. Cassius plunged his dagger into Caesar's ribs. Servilius Casca stabbed again. Steel flashed, blood splattered across the marble floor. And then came Brutus. The world seemed to freeze as Caesar saw him, his protege, his heir, his friend. "Es-tu brute?" he whispered, not in anger but in disbelief. With that, the man who had been called dictator for life fell, his blood pooling beneath Pompey's statue, the very man he had defeated in war. Rome gasped. The conspirators rushed out shouting, "Liberty! Freedom, the Republic is restored." But the crowd did not cheer. No joy, no relief, only dread. The people of Rome loved Caesar. He had given them land, food, and dignity. His death was not the victory of liberty. It was the murder of their protector. For a brief, trembling moment, the conspirators believed they had saved Rome. They paraded through the streets, their robes stained with Caesar's blood, proclaiming themselves liberators. Yet behind closed doors, terror was already creeping in. Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal general, was alive and furious. Octavian, Caesar's teenage heir, was returning to Rome. And the ghost of Caesar, it was said, would not rest until vengeance was complete. The first to fall was Cinna the poet, mistaken for Cinna the conspirator. The mob, maddened by grief, tore him to pieces in the street. His screams echoed through the forum as they shredded his body, an omen of what was to come. Soon, Rome was at war again. Antony and Octavian joined forces against the assassins. Their banners bore Caesar's name, and their soldiers cried out for revenge. The Senate, once proud, became a battlefield. Brutus and Cassius fled east, gathering legions in Greece. But the curse of Caesar followed them, everywhere, every day, in every shadow. Cassius, haunted by guilt, could no longer sleep. He saw Caesar's ghost in his dreams, his bloody toga swaying in the wind. His soldiers whispered that the gods were against them. One night before battle, Cassius saw a strange light in the sky, a burning comet said to be Caesar's soul rising to the heavens. It terrified him. Even in death, Caesar's name commanded awe. When the armies finally met at Philippi in 42 BC, it was as though fate itself demanded justice. Brutus and Cassius stood against Antony and Octavian, the last stand of the liberators. But the gods had already chosen sides. In the chaos of battle, Cassius watched his forces falter. Misled by false reports that Brutus had fallen, he ordered his servant Pindarus to kill him. "Caesar," he murmured, "thou art avenged." His blood mingled with the dust, and his spirit was silenced forever. Brutus fought on bravely, rallying what troops remained. Yet defeat was inevitable. Surrounded and hopeless, he threw himself on his own sword, the same blade that had pierced Caesar's chest. "Caesar, now be still," he whispered. "I killed not thee with half so good a will." Rome's vengeance had begun, but the gods were not done. Every man who drew blood that day would die violently, mysteriously, and often alone. Some by sword, others by betrayal or madness. as if the heavens themselves decreed that no hand raised against Caesar would know peace. After Philippi, the avengers of Caesar ruled Rome, but vengeance was not complete. Mark Antony and Octavian hunted down every last conspirator. They did not forgive nor forget. The deaths of Brutus and Cassius were only the beginning. Decimus Brutus, who had lured Caesar to the Senate, fled north after the murder. Once a hero in Caesar's wars, now he was a hunted traitor. He tried to rally forces in Gaul but was betrayed by his own soldiers. The governor of the province, ironically once loyal to Caesar, captured him and had him executed without ceremony. His severed head was sent to Antony as a gift. Trebonius, another conspirator, met his end in Asia Minor. He had shown mercy to Mark Antony during the assassination, barring him from entering the Senate chamber. But mercy could not save him. A loyalist general named Dolabella captured him, mocked him, and then personally cut off his head. His body was left to rot in the streets, a warning to all who betrayed Caesar. Cassius Parmensis, a lesser-known conspirator, managed to escape the bloodshed for years. He became a wandering exile, constantly changing homes and disguises. But Octavian's agents were relentless. In Athens, years later, they finally found him. He was dragged from hiding and executed, the last of Caesar's killers to die. Even those who did not wield the dagger suffered strange fates. Servilius Casca, the first to strike Caesar, is said to have gone mad. Some sources claim he took his own life. Others say he was executed by Antony. In every version, his end was marked by terror, as if haunted by the face of the man he had stabbed. Lucius Tillius Cimber, who pulled Caesar's toga to expose his chest, was hunted across the sea. He too was captured and killed. His death went unnoticed by history, but the Romans said his corpse was left for vultures, his eyes pecked out as divine punishment. And then there was Brutus, the man history remembers most. Though he died by his own hand, his legacy was cursed. His mother Servilia died in grief. His estates were seized, his statues torn down. Even his name became a symbol of treachery, Brutus the betrayer. The Romans would speak his name only in whispers. Octavian, now called Augustus, rose from the ashes of the Republic and crowned himself the first emperor of Rome. The Senate still existed, but its power was gone, strangled in the same chamber where Caesar fell. In the Forum, a golden statue of Caesar stood proudly, his hand raised in eternal command. At its base, the people left flowers, offerings, and prayers. Each year, on the Ides of March, a strange silence fell over Rome. Some swore they could see Caesar's ghost walking near the theater of Pompey, his white robe stained red. Sailors claimed to have seen his face in the storms above the Mediterranean. The curse of Caesar had become legend. In the end, none of his killers escaped Rome's vengeance. Their names faded into dust, their families ruined, their honor destroyed. But Caesar's name lived on, burning brighter with every generation. The man they had tried to destroy became immortal, not by sword or crown, but by destiny. For Rome had not lost a dictator that day. It had gained an emperor, and the men who struck him down had written in their own blood the birth certificate of the Roman Empire. Thus, the prophecy fulfilled itself. Those who raised their blades against Julius Caesar did not kill tyranny, they fed it. Their deaths, one by one, were not just revenge from Antony or Augustus, they were Rome's own justice. The republic they claimed to save perished with them, while the name Caesar became eternal. And so, in the shadow of the great Forum, beneath marble and memory, the whispers still linger. Beware the Ides of March.